Night settled over the town like a quiet blanket. The streets were empty. The shops were closed. The last lights disappeared one by one behind curtains and shutters. Somewhere in the distance, a dog barked. Then even that sound faded away. Silence slowly spread across the town. The kind of silence that only comes after midnight. The kind that makes the world feel larger than it really is. Most people were asleep, dreaming, forgetting the worries of the day. But not everyone. In a small house near the edge of town, a single light still glowed behind a bedroom window. And inside that room, a girl sat awake. Her name was Lina. She sat cross-legged on the floor beside her bed. A sketchbook rested in her lap. The lamp beside her cast a warm circle of golden light around her, while the rest of the room faded into shadow. The pages of the sketchbook were filled with words. Not drawings, not stories. Words, single words, short sentences, thoughts, feelings, things she wanted to say, things she should have said. Things she never found the courage to speak aloud. Some pages were neat. Others were filled with crossed-out lines. Entire paragraphs had been scratched away. One page contained only a single sentence, repeated over and over. Lina stared at it for a moment, then quietly turned the page. The room was silent. Only the ticking of the wall clock remained. Tick, tick, tick. Lina listened to it every night. The sound had become familiar, like a companion, like proof that time was still moving forward, even when everything else seemed stuck, especially since her mother died. The town never talked about it anymore. People had moved on, but Lina hadn't. Some days she felt normal. Other days she felt as if someone had quietly removed a piece of the world and never returned it. Her father felt it too, though neither of them spoke about it very often. The silence between them had grown larger over the years. Not angry silence, not cold silence, just sadness that had settled into the corners of the house. A sadness that neither of them knew how to remove. Lina placed her pencil on the sketchbook. She looked toward the window. The glass reflected the room back at her. The lamp, the bed, the shelves, herself. Outside, the town slept beneath the moon. Everything seemed normal. Everything seemed quiet, until she heard it. A voice, soft, barely louder than a breath. "Sorry." Lina froze. The words seemed to drift through the room, not from the hallway, not from outside, not from anywhere she could identify. For a moment, she wondered if she had imagined it. She listened. Nothing, only the ticking clock. Tick, tick, tick. Lina slowly looked around the room. Nobody. Nothing. The whisper had vanished. She stared at the window again. Her heartbeat felt a little faster now, a little louder. Perhaps she was tired. Perhaps she had been staring at her sketchbook too long. Perhaps... Wait. The whisper returned. This time she was certain. She had heard it. Lina stood slowly. The room suddenly felt different. Not dangerous, just unfamiliar. As if something had quietly entered while she wasn't looking. She crossed the room. Each floorboard creaked softly beneath her feet. The curtain moved gently in the night breeze, slipping through a tiny opening in the frame. Her hand paused on the fabric. For a second she hesitated, then she pulled it aside. Outside, the street was empty. The old lanterns glowed faintly. Trees swayed gently in the wind. Nothing unusual, nothing impossible. Lina almost laughed at herself. Maybe she really had imagined everything. Then she saw it. A small point of light drifting above the street. At first she thought it was a firefly, but it moved strangely, too slowly, too deliberately. The glowing shape floated closer, and as it did, Lina realized it wasn't an insect. It was a word, a single glowing word, drifting through the darkness, moving silently through the night. Lina stared. The word pulsed with soft golden light. Beautiful, impossible. And then it whispered, "Sorry." Lina stepped closer to the glass. More lights appeared. Another word. Then another. Then dozens. The sky slowly filled with them. Glowing words floating through the darkness like stars that had forgotten how to stay in the sky. Some were golden, some silver, some pale blue, all drifting gently above the rooftops, all moving in the same direction. Lina opened the window. Cool night air entered the room. The whispers became clearer, not loud, not frightening, sad, lonely, like voices carrying pieces of unfinished conversations. "I miss you. Stay. Please, come back." The words floated onward, across the town, towards somewhere beyond the darkness. Lina watched in silence. She should have been afraid. She wasn't. She should have closed the window. She didn't. Instead, she felt something else. Curiosity. The strange feeling that these words were not random, that they were trying to go somewhere, trying to find something, trying to be heard, and somehow, for reasons she could not explain. She could hear them, all of them. Then a floorboard creaked behind her. Lina turned. Her father stood in the doorway. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The hallway light behind him cast a soft glow across the room. He looked tired, older than she remembered, as though the years had moved faster for him than for everyone else. His eyes shifted toward the open window, then toward Lina. It seemed as though he wanted to say something, a question, a warning, anything. But no words came, only silence, the same silence that lived in every room of the house. He gave a small nod, then quietly closed the door. The hallway light disappeared, and once again the room belonged to shadows. Lina turned back toward the window. The glowing words were still moving, still drifting, still whispering, a river of forgotten voices flowing through the sleeping town, all heading in the same direction. Something about them felt important, important enough to follow. Lina grabbed her jacket, and for the first time that night, she made a decision. She was going to find out where the words were going, no matter what waited at the end of their journey.